The throne was his in name, but the true power danced in the hands of others. Edward VI, the boy king, sat quietly as his uncles and advisers wove webs of influence around him. At the heart of the storm stood two men, Edward Seymour, Duke of Somerset, the ambitious Lord Protector, and his rival John Dudley, Earl of Warwick, soon to become Duke of Northumberland. Somerset had begun as Edward's protector, the king's uncle and guardian. But power quickly intoxicated him. He controlled the Privy Council and made sweeping reforms, but critics whispered, "Somerset governs as if the kingdom were his own." His military campaigns, especially the disastrous war with Scotland, drained England's treasury. Despite the boy king's growing pleas for mercy and wisdom, Somerset pushed forward. Though a child, Edward was far from ignorant. In secret diary entries he expressed his frustration and fear. "They crown me king, yet I am but a shadow behind their will. My body weakens, and my voice is unheard." He resented Somerset's arrogance, but dared not oppose him openly. John Dudley, Earl of Warwick, saw Somerset's failings and plotted his fall. A master strategist, Dudley gained support among the nobles and the king's council. His influence over Edward grew as he promised stability and peace. The Tudor court was a minefield of secrets, lies, and betrayals. Edward watched as Somerset's power waned and Dudley's rose. In private moments, he questioned who truly ruled. Is there room for a boy king between these giants? Or am I forever their puppet? Physically fragile, Edward endured endless court sessions, meetings, and political scheming. His cough worsened, his nights restless. Yet he maintained a keen mind, learning statecraft and theology by candlelight. In 1549, a rebellion erupted, partly fueled by Somerset's heavy-handed policies. John Dudley seized the mob and to overthrow Somerset. Somerset was imprisoned, stripped of titles, and later executed. Though only 12, Edward understood the peril. He reluctantly accepted Dudley's dominance but remained cautious. In his diary he wrote, "I must trust wisely, for my kingdom's fate rests on these men's honor." The boy king's health continued to decline. Emotional wounds deepened as those he once trusted fell from grace. Yet Edward showed glimpses of resolve and courage beyond his years. Edward VI's reign was a tragedy of youth caught between towering ambition and ruthless politics. Though crowned king, he often ruled in shadow, a silent witness to the battles that shaped his realm. His legacy would be forever tied to the men who ruled through him. England was at a crossroads. The echoes of the Reformation rattled through its grand cathedrals and humble parish churches alike. Edward VI, barely a boy but wise beyond his years, stood at the heart of this spiritual storm. His reign would be marked by sweeping reforms that would reshape England's faith forever. From an early age, Edward was tutored not only in languages and statecraft, but deeply steeped in Protestant theology. His tutors, including Archbishop Thomas Cranmer and Bishop Nicholas Ridley, taught him Scripture, Lutheran ideas, and the writings of reformers like Martin Luther and John Calvin. Edward absorbed these lessons eagerly, often debating fiercely in private study sessions. In a rare letter, Cranmer wrote, His Majesty's zeal for true doctrine is unmatched in one so young. One of Edward's most enduring legacies was his support for the Book of Common Prayer, a text that unified English worship and distanced the Church of England from Roman Catholic rituals. Though the young king was too frail to attend all the council meetings, he personally approved its final draft. His private diary reveals, "I pray this book brings light to the people's souls, away from superstition and towards true faith." Despite his public support for Protestant reforms, Edward wrestled with spiritual doubts. In hidden pages of his diary, he recorded secret Latin prayers reflecting his internal conflict. "Lord, my heart wavers as the world shifts beneath me. Guide me to truth beyond man's sight." He sometimes found comfort in the quiet ritual of the Mass, torn between old traditions and new doctrines. Under Edward's reign, the dissolution of monasteries accelerated. Once great abbeys were dismantled, their lands sold to nobles. This caused unrest among common folk who relied on monasteries for charity and sanctuary. Edward's diaries show his awareness of the turmoil. "The poor suffer as the mighty gain. I fear my reforms may bring pain as well as light." Religious reforms faced fierce resistance from Catholic sympathizers within England's nobility and clergy. Plots to restore Catholicism brewed quietly. Edward's council kept a wary eye on dissenters, and some were imprisoned or executed. The young king's diary hints at growing paranoia. Enemies lurk in shadowed halls, speaking false prayers and plotting our ruin. Away from court, Edward kept a strict personal routine of prayer and study. He rose early to read scripture in multiple languages and often fasted. His chaplain, Hugh Latimer, noted, "Though a child, Edward's devotion was deep and sincere beyond many elders." Bearing the mantle of England's religious transformation weighed heavily on Edward. His physical health deteriorated alongside the strain of leadership. Yet he maintained courage and conviction. His diary poignantly states, "Though my body fails, my spirit stands firm in God's grace." Edward VI's reign was short, but his religious reforms set England on a new course. A boy king shaped by faith, duty, and doubt, he remains a poignant symbol of youthful struggle against the tides of history. By what? 553. Edward VI was a shadow of his former self. The relentless cough, the fevers, and the night sweats had taken a toll no medicine could heal. His frail body lay in the royal chambers of Whitehall Palace, wrapped in fine silks, but unable to escape the creeping shadow of death. In hidden pages of his private diary, Edward poured out his fears and hopes. "I feel the cold creeping into my bones, yet my heart clings to hope, though the oars grow short. May God forgive my sins and guide my kingdom after I am gone." These intimate words revealed the deep spiritual struggle of a boy burdened with kingship and mortality. Edward's impending death sparked a fierce struggle for the throne. He knew his half-sisters, Mary and Elizabeth, had competing claims. Fearing the return of Catholicism under Mary, Edward sought to alter the line of succession. In a secret document known as the Devise for the Succession, Edward named his cousin Lady Jane Grey as his heir, bypassing his half-sisters. This decision shocked the realm and sowed seeds of conflict. His diary hints at his anguish. "I choose Lady Jane. not for ambition, but to preserve the faith I hold dear. Despite weakness, Edward met with trusted advisers and wrote letters urging loyalty to Jane Grey. He spoke privately with his chaplain Hugh Latimer, confessing fears but affirming faith. On July 6, 1553, Edward VI passed away. Legend says he whispered, "Lord, into thy hands I commend my spirit." His body was prepared for burial with Tudor ceremony, but remained fragile evidence of a life cut short. Centuries later, when his tomb was opened, historians found his coffin badly decayed and his remains fragile, a testament to his delicate health even in death. Lady Jane Grey's brief reign followed, plunging England into turmoil. Edward's reign, though short and overshadowed, permanently shifted England's religious and political landscape. His final struggles reveal the tragic cost of youth burdened by power. Edward VI's story is one of brilliance shadowed by frailty, faith tested by fear, and a kingdom forever changed by a boy who bore a crown too heavy for his shoulders. The moment Edward VI's breath faded, a new drama erupted. Lady Jane Grey, a young noblewoman barely 16, was thrust onto the English throne. Her claim was based on Edward's last will, the devise for the succession, designed to keep England Protestant and out of Mary's Catholic grasp. Jane was crowned quickly in a grand but tense ceremony. Though graceful and educated, her youth and the suddenness of her rise left many nobles uneasy. England was divided. Mary Tudor, Edward's older half-sister, gathered supporters, including powerful Catholic nobles and the common people, who rallied for her rightful claim. The Tudor court fractured into bitter factions. Despite her regal appearance, Jane was deeply conflicted. In her personal letters, she expressed fear and uncertainty. "I wear this crown as a weight I never sought, my heart heavy with doubts and prayers." Mary's army marched swiftly toward London. Supporters cheered her arrival. Jane's hold on power began to crumble. After just 9 days, Jane was deposed. She was imprisoned in the Tower of London, her fate hanging by a thread. Mary's accession meant a return to Catholicism, harsh persecution of Protestants, and political upheaval. The dream Edward and Jane had fought for flickered out, but the seeds of reform had taken root. Lady Jane Grey's 9 days on the throne symbolized the precariousness of power, especially for youth caught in the tide of history. Her tragic story echoes the painful legacies of Edward VI's reign. With Lady Jane Grey's fall, Mary Tudor was crowned Queen of England. Known as Mary Weh, her reign marked a determined reversal of her half-brother Edward VI's Protestant reforms. Mary's deep Catholic faith guided her policies. She sought to restore the authority of the Pope and the Roman Catholic Church over England. Her personal letters reveal a queen torn between mercy and vengeance. "I desire peace for my people, but I will not yield to heresy." Mary's government initiated harsh laws against Protestants. Clergy who refused to recant were imprisoned, exiled, or burned at the stake. This period became known as the Marian persecutions. Among the most famous victims were Bishops Hugh Latimer and Nicholas Ridley, Edward VI's former tutors. Their fiery deaths became symbols of Protestant resistance. Despite her religious fervor, Mary faced political unrest, including rebellions and foreign threats. Her marriage to Philip II of Spain was unpopular and controversial. Mary struggled between her desire for a peaceful reign and the violent means used to enforce religious unity. Her personal diary, though limited, hints at sorrow and determination. Mary's reign was short but impactful, deepening religious divisions. Her persecution of Protestants fueled future resistance and shaped England's tumultuous religious history. Mary I's reign stands as a somber chapter in Tudor history, a time of faith tested by fire and a kingdom torn by conviction.